Hi, I'm Dana. We're once again in a position where I have a I'm not meant to swear in intros. I have a very, very large pile of clothes that I need to put away. So we're going... I'm sorry. I've been delaying it massively, so I really do need to just get started on it. I've had a bunch of new people follow me lately here. Thank you. See, it's the thing of like I've spent the last 2 years being like, and please remember to like and subscribe, and then people subscribe and I'm like, what have you done that for? I am also aware that's the point of posting online and people will follow me, and that's what the aim is. I just didn't expect anyone to, so it's weirded me out a bit. You know, like I was very weirded out when I got like 1,000 followers. I've gotten that many in the last month. It's crazy. But for anybody who's only recently followed, this is a little thing that I do around once a month, because that's the maximum amount of times in a month that I can be asked to put my fucking clothes away after I wash them. And the idea is very much that I find it real tough to get myself down to like actually doing this. And then once I am actually doing it, I find it reasonably tough to like actually like keep doing it and actually put them all away and not get so far and be like, oh, I can just put the basket back upstairs and worry about it next time I run out of clothes in my wardrobe. So the idea is that I have something to do and I have a motivating factor in that I get to multitask and put my clothes away and do the thing I need to do while also getting a video out of it. And you guys get to benefit because you've got a video of me just yammering absolute shit that you don't actually have to listen to and that isn't very interesting, so that you can have some random shit on in the background and sort of do a little parallel play moment and do your stuff along with me. And I would like to do this for more things, but as I think I said in the last one, most of the stuff I do is noisy, you know, like doing my dishes, like it's either noisy or it doesn't take much time. So like doing the dishes and hoovering is stuff where I would sit and chat with you, but it's loud. That's not really an option, and it would not be helpful to me to like film it and do a voiceover later, you know. It's just adding myself extra work that honestly probably wouldn't get around to. I'm a little bit ashamed of how many videos I've had that I film it and put that much effort in, and then I'm just like, I'm not editing that, and I'd never actually get around to finishing it. You'll never see it. So yeah, if you've just sat down to watch this and you've got something around your house that you need to get done, I strongly encourage you to do it along with me. You know, this isn't a PDA, like, I'm not trying to cause anyone's PDA. Do I not have a zip on this? Like, you don't have to, it's not a demand. It's just, might be a bit of fun to get your shit done with me. You know, we can do this together. So I yammer about whatever random shit I've been thinking about, basically, during these videos. Sometimes it's... I did one where I was just like ranting about my ex for a while and I felt so much better for it. But today I'm in quite a good mood. And yesterday I watched the movie Pearl with Mia Goth that lots of people have been talking about, and I really enjoyed it. So I am going to go a little bit into it, but I don't really intend to leave any massive spoilers. So if you haven't seen it and are intending to, I think you should be good. So it's a horror movie about a girl whose parents want to keep her on the farm, and she's having all sorts of like big emotions and wants to leave, and is a very weird girl. And it got me thinking, because I haven't watched horror films in quite a while. Like, I still sort of consider it to be part of like my personality that I like horror, because I very much grew up on it, you know, like you can see if I can move my finger appropriately, those black drawers there are filled with VHS tapes, because I love tapes. And that's largely because growing up I started on like my movie buff journey, largely by being like really obsessively into a lot of horror films. You know, like there's a lot of horror films that have a series to them that I didn't really find in a lot of other genres, and they are there, I just didn't find them. So I got really into like Scream and Jeepers Creepers and that type of stuff, like the very like sort of trashy 90s horror. Like The Faculty is one of my absolute all-time favourite movies. I love a good bit of absolute trash essentially, and I feel like as I sort of like watched what was available and had to like move into more modern horror to find new things that were in a similar vein to what I enjoy, I sort of felt like the things that I liked stopped being made. And it was weird because like I like Jeepers Creepers and Scream and stuff, so it's like pretty standard like slasher horror movie stuff. And I'd watch things that have that vibe, that are that genre, that I just didn't like, you know? Like, there was nothing wrong with them, they weren't bad movies, they just didn't hit in the way that I wanted them to. And it's a similar thing to like with Doctor Who, where I was like, maybe I've just outgrown this thing, maybe I'm just not the same person I once was, and it's a me thing and not the media, you know? But then when I was like maybe 15, 16, I saw Ginger Snaps and was like, oh damn. Which I know isn't a modern horror movie, but it made me realise that what I often much more enjoyed wasn't like the horror aspect, you know? Like, I don't really, when I think about Scream, I don't think about people being that's a lie. The first thing I think about when I think about Scream is that bit when Rose McGowan's in the doggy door. I love that scene. But like, after that, I think about Sydney, and I especially personally think about, I think it's Scream 3, maybe it's Scream 4. I did see Scream 4 in the cinema. I haven't watched these movies in a really long time at this point in my life. But I think it's the third one where she's like built herself an entire like compound out in the woods with all sorts of security measures to be like, that shit is not happening to me again. And it's moments like that where characters in horror movies have this like extreme fear and anxiety, and like I think that's largely like what I was relating to, you know? I feel like the extreme emotions that people, and especially women, go through in horror movies, especially when I was a teenager, I related so much to those feelings that was what I was drawn to. And I know it sounds dramatic to be like, I relate to Sydney Prescott because she was scared, but like that's not really entirely what I mean, you know? It's that the world, for me, especially as a teenager, but still to a point now, feels so unpredictable, and like everything is just happening all the time. And people tell you like, oh well, such and such isn't going to happen. And it's like, yeah, but it has, and it does, and it could happen to me. Like, there is nothing to say that I won't be stabbed tomorrow, you know? Like, I know I probably won't be, but that's just a probably thing. So I think some of it's having like the reason be there, you know? Like, it's kind of satisfying to have the reason that the characters are scared and anxious, as well as actually seeing people that have the same level of fear and anxiety that I do for like normal everyday things, but they require, you know, a goddamn fucking serial killer to be on the loose and like specifically going after them to feel the same level of like fear and anxiety, or at least they're like visibly similar. Like I look at them and see the fear in their eyes and I'm like, yeah, that's how I feel like all the time, bitch. Like, going into Asda elicits that level of fear for me. So I was already thinking that, and then I watched Pearl, and I also realised this might be a very me specific thing. It might not be like a whole like movie realisation, but I feel like a lot of things that I've watched where the woman, which admittedly for me like is rare, I don't know if, I feel like it is like reasonably common in horror, to be fair, that women are the main characters, and I feel like that's also why a lot of like women and queer and folks like gravitate towards horror, as well as I think for the reasons that I've already said. But I also think that, you know, like watching Pearl was honestly a very emotional thing for me. I had to pause it to cry multiple times, and it's one of those things where, you know, like I've got like the strong sense of autistic justice and so on and so forth, and I usually very, very strongly side with like the protagonist of a film, and I suppose really like Pearl is put across as the protagonist, so that's partly why. But when we have films with these women that like have the day where they just suddenly fucking snap and they are not taking it anymore, and all of the feelings and all of the things that they have to deal with have all simmered into this one ball of fucking rage that they finally get to unleash. You know, it's the same like with Carrie, and especially the bits in Pearl where she's like screaming at people and asking people questions. Like, it's the exact shit that I've wanted to scream at people and ask people, you know? But I feel like so often it is only in horror and in situations where like the woman is the bad guy that we actually get to see like a real and very genuine and like scary representation of like the degree to which women feel things. And like, I know I'm doing it like very female focused, but I do think that horror allows us to explore what like lots of different things for like any gender and sexuality and whatever else. One of the big horror films that I was obsessed with as an adult like a couple of years back was Silence of the Lambs, because my mum had always been like extremely like strict on me not being allowed to watch it. Like, I would buy it on tape and she would just take it out of my room and be like, you are not watching that, which honestly kind of fair, because like I was terrified by Doctor Who, never mind like Scream and stuff. So I get it to a point, but I actually don't think I'd have been that scared of it as a kid. Like, it terrified my mum. She told me for years the bit where you eat someone's face is like the worst thing she'd ever seen in cinema. And I wasn't scared by Silence of the Lambs, to be honest with you. I wasn't really scared by Pearl either. Like, they're both films that I think are really, really good, and are definitely horror films. But I wasn't like personally scared of them. And I do feel like a lot of the time, as much as like somebody like my mother would look at Hannibal Lecter and be like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? And, you know, same to a point, I feel like a lot of the time they really rely on horror movie, like, bad guys and villains being the different person, you know? Like, even Buffalo Bill, like, I didn't find all that scary most of the time. Obviously, when he's all like, he puts it on your skin, like, there's bits where he is super fucking creepy. But, like, I definitely feel like my mum had more of, like, a reaction of fear to seeing a man dress up as a woman in that film than I would, you know? And especially when it then comes to the point of things like with Pearl, where like, not only is this not necessarily something scary, but the entire thing is that she's different to those around her, you know? And especially, this is slightly spoilery, but there's an argument that she has with her mum where her mum says that she thinks that she's better than them. So like, this isn't super spoilery, that was the spoiler. And like, that, I paused and had a cry at that bit, because I've had that situation so many times where I've had to acknowledge to the people around me, like, I know that I'm different. I know that I'm not like you guys. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I do know it's the autism diagnosis, but at the time, you know, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I do know that I'm not like you guys. And it's a cripplingly, like, painful bit of self-awareness to have. And the people that you're saying this to and, like, experiencing that feeling around look at you and are like, you think you're fucking better than us? And it's like, no, I don't. I really don't think I'm better than anyone. And same thing with Pearl with her mum. Like, she does not think she's better than her mum. But it's been made abundantly clear to her by the people that she's around that she is different to them. And then the moment that you admit that difference and say, like, yeah, I am different to you all, actually. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but I am different. They assume that you think that you're better than them. You know, and I'm not saying that that makes it okay to do the things that she did, obviously. But I am saying that I think that a lot of horror movies, and especially ones that focus on people's like anger and an individual doing like a terribly heinous thing, I tend to understand the characters better than I probably should. And I've resisted talking about this in like an actual video. Like, I did consider doing like an actual, like, here's my special interest on horror video and basically talking about this. But I don't want to, because it does feel, I don't feel like I'm able to put it across in a way that doesn't have a bit of like a, I relate to like murderers, guys. Aren't I like edgy and cool? Normal people scare me. When like that's not what it is at all. I think that these characters are like, you know, intentionally or not, made as like the other characters in it. And although they are doing horrible, horrible things, I'm not given a character within those worlds that is different from the other people, from like the main people, that isn't also evil. So it's the moral like conundrum of like how much can be excused and how much can be understood. And, you know, within movies, I think it's very interesting and fascinating. I don't think it should ever be done in real life. Like, I know that we have things of like discussing if certain serial killers, shooters, whatever else, discussing if they're autistic and discussing if they're that, and saying like, oh well, they had such a hard life. And in real life, I don't care. You don't do those things. You don't do horrible things to people. But in movies, I do think it's all right to like discuss and be like, is it actually totally valid for her to kill that guy? You know? Obviously never ever ever in real life. But in movies, sometimes they have it common. But I also do feel like we've gotten to a point on the internet where like, I shouldn't have to go out of my way to be like, I do think murder's wrong, guys, just to talk about being able to relate to characters in movies, you know? And that being said, I also like, as much as I've been like, it's only in horror, it's mostly in horror, it's in horror, guys. I also watched a movie called Shirley Valentine the other day, which was based, I believe, on a play by Willie Russell. It was definitely written by Willie Russell, because I had to do Our Day Out when I was in high school, and like the phrasing of lines and just like so much of the setup, like I was like, this is Willie Russell. And I liked it. But yeah, the movie Shirley Valentine is about a woman, Shirley Valentine, who's this like Scouse housewife, a housewife from Liverpool, for those of you not used to UK intellect. Well, I assure you that there's no intellect here, but what the fuck is the word? I can't remember the word. The word for like slang that's used. Figure it out. But yeah, so she's this like little Scouse housewife, and her kids have grown up and moved out. They're adults now. So she's like, oh, I can do stuff, but her husband's just kind of awful, and she doesn't, you know, like she isn't supported. She's just become a mum and a wife, and she isn't Shirley Valentine anymore. So she goes off to Greece to like have holiday and find herself a wee bit because her kids are growing up and her husband's a full-grown man that should be able to look after himself. And then she has such a fab time there, she's like, actually, I'm gonna stay. And while she's there, she also has like a little fling, and when she goes back, he's doing the exact same thing to another woman, and that would have fucking broken me. But she's just like, I see what's going on, and she has this self-worth that she's learned, and she's all good about it. But like, that was another film that like, if I wasn't watching it with a friend, there were definitely parts that I would have like paused to have a little cry, because, you know, this part might be really deep for new viewers. So I spent 8 years in a horribly abusive relationship with a man that basically just wanted me to be his little perfect housewife. And as much as I like genuinely fucking tried to be as well, it was just never good enough for him. You know, I do think that like the relationship situation that I had, let's face it, definitely has led to me feeling more empathy and understanding for those types of like mother and housewife characters, despite thankfully not being a mother myself. But I do also feel like it's rare that we get characters like that have the storylines where they are able to like find themselves and set boundaries and like live their life and recreate themselves without it being a horror film where they have to like kill everyone around them or whatever, you know? You know, like in day-to-day life and in like day-to-day society, I do feel like, you know, women's emotions, we are often just told to like keep a hold of them and tamp them down. And the moment you show a little bit more emotion than you're supposed to, you're a typical hysterical woman. And it's like, maybe if I was allowed to show bits and pieces of emotion here and there and get a little bit angry and get a little bit sad and whatever else without being shamed for it at times, then maybe it wouldn't all bottle up, you know? And I'll give that like some of these issues are me issues and there's things that I can do. But I also think that there's lots of things that I just don't think of until like I'm prompted to think about them, you know? And I think that movies and TV shows and various forms of media are a very powerful and impactful way of doing that, and a way of doing it that I personally like really, really enjoy. And that's where, you know, like my special interests mean a lot to me, not just because like my special interests do tend to be TV shows for anyone new, mostly Doctor Who and anything with Keely Hawes in, and lots of things with Gillian Anderson in. And I've also watched like a bunch of stuff with Jodie Whittaker in, which actually ties in really well to the conversation. It's just me talking shit. But yeah, I watched Time recently, which is it's not a new show, it was the second season of a show that's already been on the BBC. The first season had Stephen Graham and Sean Bean in it, which is why I didn't watch it, because Stephen Graham's accepted awards from The Sun, which is a newspaper that like literally isn't sold where I live because they're dodgy. You can fucking Google it, they've done a lot of shit. So like a lot of people really, really don't like The Sun, and I'm one of them. And Stephen Graham was just accepting awards from The Sun when he should know better. So I boycotted him. And quite frankly, like, I'm the only person that's boycotted him, you know? I haven't damaged his career. I just have missed things that I genuinely wanted to see because he was in them. So I really should just watch them soon, I think. But I watched the second season because it had Jodie Whittaker and Bella Ramsey and also Siobhan, I can't remember her last name, but she's been in Doctor Who and she was in Benedonto, and she's a great actress. And she was also in Clocking Off. She's been in lots of stuff basically. And yeah, Jodie Whittaker's character is a mother of three, a single mother of three with an alcoholic mom, and she ends up going to prison for fiddling the lecky. I don't know why I looked down here, but yeah, she fiddled the lecky so she could get cheap lecky, free lecky or whatever, and they sent her to prison. And obviously the prison system is not realistically made for rehabilitation. Like, this is a different chat to what we're having, but I have no personal relation to like prison, okay? Like, I'm not doing stuff that should land me in prison. I don't have any family members that have been to prison. I am realistically like very, very far removed from like everything to do with like any sort of justice system, you know? But I have lots of opinions about it, because I am very like, I grew up thinking that the prison system was there to rehabilitate people. You know, you do a bad thing, you face the consequences, you come out and you get to like live your life and do things and be a person again because you sorted the consequences and took your punishment. When obviously it takes like 3 seconds of any sort of research as an adult to look at it and be like, that's not a system that's set up to rehabilitate people, that's set up to have people consistently coming back and coming back because you're not doing anything to make their life any better when they get out. So like, not only are they going back to the same situation that like resulted in them committing a crime in the first place, they've just gotten out of prison, so like their situation is worse than it was when they committed the crime in the first place, and you're now like, why are they committing crime again? And it's like, duh. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it was another thing where she was very much like the house, not a housewife, because like she had a job and she was a single mum, you know, but very much like the woman that has become the sole like thing of like, she is mother, she is carer, she is like here solely to care for and look after other people. And that's very much what I was for my ex. It was ridiculous. And I feel like for the longest time those types of characters were just, they were either ignored or they were there, but they weren't explored in any way, you know, like they literally were just mother, carer, like whatever role they'd been put into as a woman was very much the only role that they had. And I do think it's quite nice and quite interesting that those types of characters and those types of people are being explored. Because like, as much as it's something that I feel I relate to due to like my past relationship, I do also think it's something that all of us can relate to with a little bit of thought, because we all have mothers, you know? And I don't like the thing of like, we should be nice to women because you have a mother and you have a sister. Like, you should just be fucking nice to people. But I do think that people like seeing those types of characters more as fully rounded characters will have like an overall good effect, you know? I do feel like a lot of societal things and a lot of like general like world stuff is sort of like done subconsciously. Like as much as you can like protest and talk about things and bring up the message and everything else, I feel like a lot of things it is just like it slowly happens. And you know, like, I don't know if I'm getting way too deep with this, but it's like how I slowly watched my entire family go from being people that voted Labour and like, you know, believed in equality and nice things, to being people that, like, literally, my mother voted UKIP at one point. I don't know why I'm admitting that on the internet. It's not a good thing to him. I didn't vote UKIP and I don't talk to her anymore, okay? I did what I had to. But, you know, I do feel like in some ways it's like the positive version of that, where, like, they snuck in like their shitty little bits of racism and shitty bits of everything else on the internet and in the news that my mum like picked up on subconsciously and like slowly internalized. And I do kind of feel like we're having more and more characters that are so well written and so well acted and well rounded and just like proper like juicy sink your teeth into like exploring something, thinking about things characters, that I do feel like they are going to have some effect on some people, you know. And especially like things like Pearl, maybe not so much, because I do feel like it's going to be more so people like me that are going to watch it, you know. It's gonna be women, it's going to be girls for the most part, not entirely, but you know, I think a lot of like, it's like with the Barbie movie, like a lot of the men that could have done, a lot of men that could have done with seeing the Barbie movie are the exact type of men that are never ever going to watch the Barbie movie. I get that. And I do think it's useful to do it with things like Time, where there will have been a lot of men that are like Sean Bean and Stephen Graham fans who will go on to watch the second season, even though it's now like a women's prison. It's one of those things where I'm like, it's talking about women's issues, and it's like, nah, but it's not. Like, the issues that we face in society are issues for everybody, you know? But it does also like go into one of the women being pregnant in the prison. It goes into like her relationship with her boyfriend and the drugs that they do together and the like, and abuse within relationships that are like that. You know, like it does feel like it's tackling a lot of important things and doing it in a space where more people who wouldn't usually watch that kind of thing might do. But But also, obviously, I'm massively fucking biased because I just adore Jodie Whittaker. I do also really like Bella Ramsey, to be fair, but I've only seen them in Game of Thrones. See, this is the thing, I watched Game of Thrones because I had Sean Bean and I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, like I have a Lord of the Rings tattoo. And then I watched them in The Last of Us because that had Melanie Linsky and she was in a Peter Jackson film and I love Lord of the Rings. And then I watched them in, is it called Catherine Called Birdie? It's something like that, but I watched that because it's got Leslie Sharp, Billie Piper and Andrew Scott in it. Mostly for Billie Piper and Leslie Sharp. Billie Piper for obvious reasons and Leslie Sharp because obviously she was in Doctor Who, but she was also in The Second Coming and Clocking Off and lots of other great things on the BBC. And then obviously I've watched Time because it's got Jodie Whittaker in, and they are the only things that I've actually seen Bella Ramsey in. But like from what I've seen so far, I do like them. But it's also the thing of like, I haven't like intentionally watched them, you know, they've just sort of been there when I'm like, oh my god, I love this actor. Okay, I have significantly more clothes than I usually do, I think, because this is taking so much longer than normal. I've been speaking for so long. I've been talking for like 45 minutes. Nearly non-stop. Like, this is more of a stream of consciousness than most of my other videos are. So in my other videos, even when I'm like, oh my god, I've been recording for 30 minutes, it's like, yeah, but you've been talking for like 20 of them. Whereas this time, I do think I've been speaking for the majority of those minutes. My mouth is so dry, and I don't have anything more to say. If you've been doing stuff alongside me, well fucking done. It's hard doing stuff. It's not fun. It's not nice. It uses so much fucking energy, especially when it's stuff that you don't want to do. So if you've got anything done, well done you. If you haven't, well done for fucking listening to all that without doing something. Like like even if you haven't done housework or something, like I really hope you've done something with this in the background. Because if you've just sat and like listened to and watched this, like, that's some dedication. Like, let me know and I was gonna say I'll donate you a $5, but honestly, if more than like 3 people were like, I've watched this whole video, I'd be fucked. So I'm not gonna say that. This isn't even all like actual clothes I need to sort. We can finish this together. Why do I own? I know why I own so many t-shirts. It's because it takes me ages to put my washing away, and then I'm like, oh my god, I don't own any t-shirts. But it takes like a full month to get to that point because I own so many t-shirts. I also had my Foo Fighters phase where I could not like have the Foo Fighters release something without me owning it. It was very difficult because I didn't have the money to do it. I think there's a lot of Foo Fighters stuff that I just don't own. And then, you know, we all know what happened there. We don't need to go into, oh shit, I don't think this is duvet cover, you know, I don't think it is. I think it is all clothes, it's just fucking pillowcases. It is all clothes, but some of it's pyjamas and some of it's jeans, so some of it's just folding and some of it's underwear. We can finish this together. Quite frankly, as much as I did want to stop so that I could like have a bit of copper and everything, I think if I stop recording and I'm like, I'll do the rest in a bit, will I? I bought jeans in the summer. That lasted, I say in the summer, the summer was like 3 weeks long and I kind of wish I hadn't. Like, I am just freezing cold all the time now. Like, I didn't intend to film any videos in this thing, like, at any point ever. And I've had to because I'm just fucking freezing all the time. Like, these pants are fleece lined, not warm enough. We have reached the point of the video where I'm just gonna whinge. I'm just gonna have a moan and a whinge and a complain. Gosh, I don't really have anything to complain about right now. Can I complain about not having enough to complain about? Just like life's going reasonably well, you know? Like, I've got one situation that feels like a very big negative thing that I'm mostly just ignoring, to be honest with you. And other than that, I'm mostly having a lovely little life. Like, today I've got to feed a friend's cat because they're out of town for the night. And then I'm going to go and see another friend who recently got a cat and I'm going to get to meet their cat. It's going to be so fun. I love meeting cats. I think that is my only like currently set solid plan right now. But like, I've been watching a bunch of Gilmore Girls with one of my friends, so we just have like impromptu little meetups to watch television, and I love that. I've never had that with a friend before. I really think that I might have like been in relationships so like consistently and like stuck around in relationships I didn't want because I had someone to watch stuff with. I really enjoy talking about the stuff that I've watched recently. And like, I'm probably going to start doing that more in videos, but I really enjoy it most when it's like with the Gilmore Girls situation right now, where like, as we're watching it, we talk about it. Like, even if we don't want to like in person hang out, we will be messaging each other about what's going on in the show, what our opinions on it are. And, like, I tried watching it without them at one point, and I was like, this just, I don't know if I care about the show when I don't have someone to talk to about, honestly. It feels like a really nice like communal thing to be able to like share a piece of media, you know? And especially as someone who, like, the majority of my special interests focus around TV shows and various types of media, it does feel a bit like I'm being like fully accepted, honestly. Like, having people understand how much I care about television, having people respect how much I care about it as well is a big one. Because like, my exes, I've got 2 exes, very new people. Like, I've only been in 2 relationships, I'm not very experienced, but you know, like, in both of them, they sort of acted as though they accepted how much I liked television and media, but they also clearly thought that like I was a bit dumb for it, you know? They were like, it's just a TV show. And I'm like, I know it's just a TV show. Like, I was like 24 years old, you know? Like, I understood that it wasn't fucking real. I wasn't watching Doctor Who being like, oh my gosh, the TARDIS is out there somewhere. Like, I know it's just a fucking TV show, but I don't see why I shouldn't be allowed to just suspend my disbelief and fucking enjoy myself. Like, damn. Some people are just very miserable. See, this is the thing that subconsciously I was like, oh God, I still need something to complain about. What do I complain about? My exes. Perfect complainability factor for both of them. I saw my horrible abusive ex at Comic-Con. I should have known he'd be there, but it's kind of cringe because he knows I'll be there as well because I fucking work at the little dickhead. But I was in cosplay as Nadia and he walked past me like 3 times and he looked at me like every time and there was no glint of recognition on his face. He did not recognise me. And also his new girlfriend, she's not a new girlfriend. I met this bitch multiple times. She was sat in my house watching him fucking scream at me and be abusive, so it's odd to me that she's with him. But this is me just straight up slagging somebody off in a video to like multiple thousands of followers. Right, I'm just saying it, okay? Like, if you've watched all the way to the end here, you deserve this tea. My ex's new girlfriend, well, my ex's girlfriend after me is a white girl with dreadlocks. I'm not expanding on it, I'm not giving you my opinion on it, so you can't say anything about me. I'm just putting it out there, and I saw it at Comic-Con and I was like, ah! I just think it's such a choice to be a white person and be like, you know what I'm gonna do, guys? I'm gonna absolutely just fuck my hair off. Like, she has like fine, thin hair. That'll be an issue for her to deal with. That's nothing to do with me. Sometimes karma is a cat, you know? Come here, come on, you can do it, come here. You could come across here, there's a pathway. Wrong cat, but there is a cat. I'm gonna pick you up. I'm not gonna pick you up, you walked away from me. I just need one of you to be in my lap for my point, okay? You know, maybe karma is a cat purring in my lap because it loves me. But that is my basket empty, which felt like a medieval thing to say. Which means that I'm gonna go and put these away and... See, when the camera's lowered down, if I put things behind me, you can't see them. And I am now like, have you been looking at the pile of my underwear the entire time? I don't love that. That feels a bit intrusive. Don't do that. Ugh. I'm obviously playing. I put it there. It's my own fault. I'll have to figure out how to blur it if I care that much. I'm gonna put everything away. We are fucking done. I started saying goodbye before, so I hope that you managed to do what you were doing. If you had a bit of a dip in the middle there and then had to come back to it, I get you. I had that wee dip, but we've done it. I hate fucking hanging shit up. I wouldn't hate hanging shit up so much if I wasn't someone that has an organised wardrobe, like to the degree of like t-shirts, short sleeve shirts, long sleeve shirts, like it all has to go in its place. I'm gonna go and do it now. So whoever you, to promote myself a bit quick, you can follow me on all the like average social media that everyone has. Sometimes I post on Instagram, and I post daily on TikTok, so that's a fun place over there. If you want to donate money to me like an absolute badass, you can do that on Ko-fi or Patreon, or by becoming a YouTube member. You rub on that again. I'm not entirely sure what I was in the middle of saying when that happened, and I don't want to repeat myself. So whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year. And I will see you again in a couple of days.